Hey guys, Friday Night Monsters is a mod I've been wanting to make a video on for months now, and with Trance Attack releasing recently, this is a perfect time to make it. It's safe to say that with all the new stuff that just came out, this is my favorite mod of all time. To put it into context, I've never even watched a single Godzilla movie in my entire life. That just goes to show that there's no bias here. And because this is my favorite mod, I wanted to show it some respect. So first of all, as you can probably tell, I'm doing voiceovers now. I have to use my crappy Xbox mic, so if the quality sucks, then I can blame it on that. But secondly, I also wanted to include some of my friends in the video to share their thoughts on some of these songs. They are all a bit shy with having their voices on, so some I'll use text-to-speech and some I'll use the typing that I normally do. So for this video, there are going to be 50 songs I'm including. Any of which there's a choice between Godzilla and Mothra. I'm going to be picking the Godzilla mix because those are always better, at least to me. So with all that out of the way, let's finally jump in. This is going to be a very long one. Oh boy, First Instance is certainly a song, alright. It's probably the most divisive song in this entire OST, mostly because of how experimental it is. Let me just get this right out of the way first. The parts of this song that have kind of a semblance of a melody are actually pretty good. Like the main melody used in the instrumental and is used in the middle of the song is actually pretty catchy. But man, everything else in this song just kind of sounds like noise. For one, Suitmation Trials Godzilla, I can't even tell if he has a chromatic or not because the instrumental pretty much just drowns him out the whole time. So because of that, I can't really say if he sounds good or bad. So I guess let's just move on to the instrumental because that's basically what this entire song is. Just one big instrumental. Like I said earlier, the parts that actually have melodies are solid. But then there's the parts that just sound like gunshots or a jackhammer or I don't know. It's just way too loud and annoying. Like, I don't think I could actively sit through listening to this song without just being annoyed by all that noise. And this part of the song I'm talking about is like 75% of the song, so it's not a trivial amount. This is most of the song that literally just is noise. I can't describe it any other way. So when it comes to First Instance, I mean, you either love this song or you just don't care for it. And sorry to all you First Instance fans, I don't get it at all. If you love this song, then good for you. I'm not trying to change your mind, but yeah, it's just not for me. Okay, I think this placement's a lot more agreeable, right? I'm pretty sure Trypophobia is consensus one of the weakest of the OST, but it's not even a bad song, it's just incredibly boring. Starting off, the instrumental kind of fakes you out by being all bouncy and upbeat, but then when the Matangos actually start singing, I just automatically fall asleep. The Matangos themselves sound okay at best. They honestly have one of my least favorite chromatics. Like, it's fitting for a creepy and messed up version of the Matangos, but I don't think they really work in this type of song. And then there's Godzilla, who sounds actually pretty good despite this being his weakest performance. Although he always sounds good, so that's not really saying much. And then there are the melodies, which are just 75% long notes with zero impact behind them, and it really contributes to the song being incredibly boring and forgettable. That's also not to mention that the melodies pretty much aren't changed up at all throughout the whole song. Like, the humanoid Matango guy comes in, but then it's literally just the same thing as before. So, kind of a missed opportunity. The one thing that could save the song was the instrumental, but it's just as lame and boring and empty as the rest of the song. So yeah, when I first started making this video, Trypophobia was always my last place one. But then after thinking about it more, I realized that I prefer being bored over being annoyed. So sorry first instance, looks like your last now. The Dead Cells entry was done by my friend Cactus, so I guess I'll just let him take it away.
So, Dead Cells is up now. I don't think Simpli's opinion on the song will really be that positive. But hey, to each their own. Anyway, coming from probably the #1 Dead Cells defender in this community, there's a lot more I have to say than the other song coming later on. So do yourself a favor and buckle up. We have an amount to talk about here. To start things off, I really loved how in this instrumental goes. It really does feel like a battle song, like a good 90-ish or so % of this entire soundtrack. Godzilla sounds amazing as always, and I really love Biolandi's chromatic in this and how different it sounds compared to her BioWar chromatic. Over here, it sounds sharper and like she's ready to tear you apart compared to how deeper and guttural she sounded in the latter. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I love both chromatics, but this one takes the cake from me. Yes, I like this one more than BioWar and Wilting. Don't complain. Now with this being an older BioWar, I can see why this was moved to the jukebox, since BioWar has more of a tense tone to it, to where Dead Cells sounds more lively and adventurous. Now as mentioned, I love both to pieces, nothing is really wrong with either. If I had to say one flaw with Dead Cells, it's that the ending verse kind of drags on compared to everything else. Also on an unrelated note, I really love the old Sonic the Hedgehog OST, and the moment I heard the middle part, it actually sounded like something from an old Sonic game. I used to have Dead Cells in my top 7 of this mod, but even though it fell off, I still recommend this song if you really love this kind of music. I know I do.
Thank you, Cactus. For me, Dead Cells has one fatal flaw. The melodies and instrumental are perfectly fine, it's just that Biolante's chromatic in this song is absolutely awful. It's just way too scratchy for me. I bet if they used the BioWar chromatic, it might have honestly moved up a tier or two. Thank God this song got replaced by BioWar. Paragon, formerly Paradigm, is the definition of a song that exists for this mod. Starting out with this beginning part between Zero and the Cultists, it's actually pretty good. Both of them have good chromatics and have solid chemistry. The melodies in this part actually aren't that bad either. I'd say they're actually pretty catchy. The instrumental is also solid. I don't really have much to say about it, other than it fits the song and it sounds pretty good. But then Zero kills the cultist and the Bat Demon comes in and... yeah, this is when things take a turn for the worse. The Bat Demon's chromatic is just not good. It's literally just scratchy noise. It hurts my ears and it has zero chemistry. Zero's transform chromatic is also nothing too special. It's very airy and dry, but I mean it's only there for like 10 seconds anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And the melodies in this part are serviceable, but again, I have a hard time hearing them when the Bat Demon essentially has an atonal. Yeah, honestly, I just don't have a lot to say about Paragon. The first half is good, but the second half just really brings it down a lot. Overall, it's just very forgettable. April Fool's 20 is probably the weakest of the 3 joke songs to me. Again, it's not that this song is bad, it just kinda lacks the memorability of the others. Starting off with the vocals, Godzilla sounds good like he always does. Not so much to say there. And Orange Man sounds pretty solid too. His chromatic is very accurate to the certain political figure he's based off of. Not going to go into any of that because that's not the point of this channel. But he's got a pretty decent chemistry with Godzilla too. And then there's Pepe, whose chromatic is fine, I guess. It's just a generic male voice, which I guess works because I don't know what else you'd base it off of, but I can often get it confused with Orange Man. It's especially noticeable when they sing at the same time. Their chromatics kind of blend in a little bit. Pepe's chromatic isn't the only generic thing about this song, because the instrumental and melodies are too. The instrumental is just basic dubstep, which works, but nothing really sticks out about it. Same thing could be said about the melodies. Some of them are really good and fairly catchy, especially towards the end, but most of them are just in one ear and out the other. A lot of them can also feel a bit samey and blend together in my mind. So yeah, I could definitely see someone really liking April Fool's 20, but honestly, it's just okay for me. There's nothing really noteworthy about it, which makes it pretty forgettable. In fact, I actually forgot to record footage for this song until I started editing this segment, so there you go. This next entry was done by my friend Kel, so take it away.
Oh boy. Metal March. I am probably the #1 defender of this song, and for good reason. First of all, that beginning is really good. It's like Tankzilla suddenly ambushed Godzilla and now the two have to duke it out. And then it immediately switches tone and goes with it for basically the rest of the song, and it works wonderfully. Since I mentioned Tankzilla, let's talk about his chromatic for a bit. It's really good. It sounds like humans tried to replicate Godzilla's chromatic ... because that's what it is. Then at the halfway mark of the song, Tankzilla calls for backup and Mothplane answers his call. She also sounds good, better than the original Mothra for sure. These two have great chemistry with each other as showcased when Mothplane first enters the fray. Then we get a little solo from the two of them, and Godzilla retaliates before the ending of the song kicks in. And said ending is really good. It sounds like all of them are giving it their all. One final effort to emerge victorious over their opposition. Overall, Metal March is amazing, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. I personally have it in S+ tier, although some people have it in B tier. How uncultured. Also, yes, it's better than Can't Change What You Are. Okay, bye.
Wow, shots fired, okay. Anyway, this is probably the first hot take of the video. The reason I don't have Metal March as high as others is mostly because of Tankzilla. His chromatic I just really don't care for. It's very high-pitched and squeaky and doesn't really work well with Godzilla at all. Like when they sing together, all semblance of Tankzilla's melodies goes away and I'm just left with the squeaking. The melodies are also nothing too special, so I guess there's that too. But Tankzilla is my main grievance. If you don't mind Tankzilla's chromatic, then I can 100% see why you'd like this, but I just can't really get over it. Call me crazy all you want, but I like Martian Clash more than Metal March. This is the first of a couple songs that fall in the category of would-be bangers if they were longer. Like, this song is less than a minute, but it makes good use of that limited time. Actually, let's see if I can get everything I want to say in before the song ends. First of all, Godzilla sounds great as always, Goten has a very nice chromatic, and the instrumental has a very space arcade feel that fits the tone, and the melodies are actually really good, especially the duet at the end. The length is obviously the most glaring issue. Actually, I think if this song was extended, I could easily see it moving up a couple tiers. It's such a shame this song is only a minute. It's such a good minute. Why couldn't they have just extended Martian Clash? It's so good. Actually, the next 3 songs are pretty much have the same issues as Martian Clash, so let's get into those. Amoeba was also done by Cactus, so take it away.
So, Amoeba. I had a bit of a history with this one when I first heard the mod. Originally, I had this song above popular songs from Pathos like Alomnesia, BioWar, and Paramnesia. But when I re-listened to it for the Trance update almost like half a month or so, it kinda fell off for me, and now it's at my bottom 10 for the mod. So let's start with the 2 factors in chromatics. Both Godzilla and Gezora sound really good, even if this is one of their weakest performances in the mod. And the immediate MVP goes to the instrumental that carries the song in its entirety. My big flaw with this song is that it's too short, but not as short as something like Martian Clash. Really, there is not too much I can say with this song compared to Dead Cells because of how short it is, but I still think it's a solid song.
Thank you, Cactus. Just like Martian Clash, this song is way too short for me to really have any feelings towards it. Like, the melodies are pretty good, the instrumental is great, but the chromatics are where it starts to trip me up. Now, I will admit that Gezora's chromatic has grown on me a ton. It's squeaky like Tankzilla, but it's much more toned down, which is a lot more tolerable. Unfortunately though, this is Godzilla's weakest performance of the whole mod. He's very compressed for some reason, and I don't really get why at all. Like, you seriously couldn't have just given him the normal one? That probably would have moved it up a couple spots. But yeah, honestly, the chromatics and the length are the reason that this place is low. Squid Games, it's just Amoeba but slightly better. The melodies and length are pretty much the exact same, but my other problems have completely flipped. Gezora's chromatic is much more muted, which isn't that big of a deal, it's just a tad bit worse. But Godzilla's is normal chromatic again. It really makes you wonder why they changed it to be more compressed. The instrumental is worse than Amoeba's, but still very solid. I mean, I don't really know what you want me to say. It's just the old version of Amoeba. These are neck and neck and pretty much interchangeable on the list. Moving on. I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that Mysterian is the best of the 4 extremely short songs. Starting off, the melodies are actually pretty strong. They're much more memorable and catchy than the 3 songs behind it, plus this is where the vocals are at their best. Godzilla isn't extremely compressed like an Amoeba, Mogera isn't squeaky or muffled like Gezora in Amoeba and Squid Games. It's really the best of both worlds. The instrumental is also pretty solid. It gives off a very spacey vibe like Martian Clash, but I think it's executed better. So because Mysterian has the best aspects of the 3 songs behind it, it beats them all out. Obviously the length is what's preventing it from climbing any higher, but for an extremely short starter song, I think it did pretty well. finally back to songs that are longer than a minute and a half. Toxic Sludge is the first non-jukebox song from the Trance update, and I think it's pretty solid. The thing that sticks out the most to me is Hedora's chromatic. It's another very squeaky one like Azora, except it's much more muted and has less impact. I think that aspect actually makes it worse than Gazora's because it also makes it very quiet in turn. Godzilla sounds great as per usual, so there's not really much to say there, except because Hedora is so quiet, there's not really any chemistry between them. There's also the melodies, which are decent but not really that memorable. They work, but they take some time to get going. Like, it's not until Hedora gets out of his flying mode that the song starts to pick up and get pretty catchy. But pretty much everything before that just blends together in my mind. There's also the instrumental, which, again, is just fine, but nothing too special. It's literally just a nice chiptune melody, which works, but doesn't really make it stick out from the rest. Overall, it's not a bad song by any means, but it just does little to stick in my mind. I would totally understand if you love this one, but to me, it's just pretty good. This is basically just the lead up to a much better Hedora song coming later, so look out for that. Here we have another song from Trance, Ghoul. Interesting name. Just like Toxic Sludge, it's one of those songs that I don't really have a ton to say about. For one, in the original creepypasta, something really cool is that Zack describes the levels with the horse bats and trunk ghosts as having an Indian techno vibe, and you can actually kind of sense that when listening to this one. The song starts off with us against a horse bat, and the bat's chromatic is, yet again, on the squeaky side. Noticing a pattern? Unlike Gazora and Hedora's, it's more shrill, so it has some impact behind it to make it stick out. I actually kind of like this chromatic, and I don't really understand why it was changed in Exasperation, but we'll get there when we get there. On the other hand, there's Godzilla, who actually sounds really good for some reason. I don't know what it is with this song, but he just sounds really nice here. The melodies, yet again, are just decent, not that memorable, but they work. And then the horse bat dies, and the trunk ghosts come in. Trunk ghost chromatic is solid. It works pretty well with Godzilla. The melodies aren't really changed up in this part until the bat is revived and the key changes, which is easily the best part of the song. It gets very tense and I love it. But then the song just ends. Like, really? We were just getting into the good stuff, and the ending comes out of nowhere. It really hurts the song's placement. Ghoul is a solid side song for Trance, but just like most of the songs around it, it doesn't really do anything to stand out. Plus that really abrupt ending hurts. Plague of Pestis is her first Mothra exclusive song, which means I can finally talk about her chromatic. It's basically everything I don't like about the other squeaky chromatics, but turned up to 100. It's very high-pitched, shrill, and quiet, and quite frankly is just ear-piercing. See, this is why the Godzilla mixes are the defaults. His chromatic is leagues better than Mothra's. Anyway, into the song itself. This can pretty much be lumped in with the songs from a little bit ago, like Martian Clash and Amoeba, where the song itself isn't bad, but it's way too short for me to place it any higher. Despite being so short, the melodies are actually pretty great. A lot of them are quite forgettable, but the ones that stick are actually pretty catchy. There's also Mega Gearus herself, who actually kinda hinders the song. Her chromatic is very one note, pretty much just the same vowel over and over again, and it does make the melodies feel a bit stale over time, and some variety would have been nice. Oh yeah, I did an overview of Mothra, but how is she in this song itself? Pretty terrible. I don't know what kind of filter they used over her voice, but her chromatic is somehow even more grating than before. See, this is why nobody likes the Mothra mixes. I can only imagine what Entropy will be like. Okay, well, then there's easily the best aspect of the song, which is the instrumental. The piano is genuinely beautiful, especially in the intro, and I like how it slowly transforms into that NES style while still keeping the piano involved. So yeah, even though I do have a lot of gripes with the song, especially with the vocals, I wish it was extended at least 20 or so seconds, just so we could have something more. The point is, Plague of Pestis has a lot of good aspects, but there are some major things holding it back, which is why it's an A tier. Jellyfish, formerly known as Zephyr Earth Mix, is a nice little song. Admittedly, I don't have that much to say about it, but I'll try my best. This song is just a bop. Obviously, this means the melodies are pretty catchy. I mean, they aren't anything too crazy, but they're very solid for what they are. The mini Dogoras also have nice chromatics. I know this is a weird way to put it, but they sound very squishy, and it's pleasant on the ears. The purple one is smooth, while the orange one is a bit grainier. It makes for some great contrast between their vocals, and it also means they have excellent chemistry. They also work very well with Godzilla, who sounds great, but it's nowhere near his best performance. And then there's the instrumental, which is very upbeat and fun. It's bouncy, which works very well characterizing the mini Dogoras. Yeah, not much to say about Jellyfish, other than I don't really get the hate that it and Zephyr get. Yeah, it's fairly short, but I think it does as much as it needs to in the time it has. Yeah, good song. Very underrated. And here we have the Mars version of the previous song, Zephyr. Just like the Earth mix, I don't really have that much to say here. I mean, it's not really that different from Jellyfish in the first place. There are some slight differences in the melodies, Dogora sounds different, the instrumental has a more spacey feel to it, and it's about a minute longer. But other than that, it's essentially the same song. I constantly go back and forth between Mars and Earth mix, but as of right now, I slightly give the edge to Mars. So congrats Zephyr, you barely beat out your twin. I still don't get the hate it gets. Like really? This was voted as the worst of Mars? I thought Martian Clash had that on lock. Nobody likes that song. I digress. Zephyr, just like Jellyfish, is an underrated banger, and I will stand by that. I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but I am not the biggest fan of Collision. For a song about Godzilla's most famous foe, it's kind of a big disappointment. The reason for that is Kong himself. His chromatic is actually sampled from Donkey Kong, which is an amazing idea, but the execution is very poor. He sounds extremely clunky, and his notes have no impact. Like in the intense parts of the song, Godzilla's singing his heart out, but Kong just sounds tired and bored. It's really a shame because as a kaiju and Godzilla's biggest rival, Kong just seems like he doesn't care. It's most noticeable in the parts after transitions, when Kong actually sounds like he has an atonal. Those parts are really bad, and Kong just sounds extremely messy. I bet you're wondering how it's still an A tier after I harped on the chromatic though, and that's because everything else is done very well. The melodies are pretty catchy. Not all of them are winners like the ones from the intro, but once the song finally gets going, it really hits hard. There's also the instrumental, which has that nice final boss energy that you'd come to expect from a Godzilla vs. Kong song. And of course, who could forget everyone's favorite Godzilla character, Kong Killer, who appears for like 2 turns at the end. Its chromatic is just an instrument, but it sounds very nice and adds a lot of depth to the song. So yeah, Collision is nowhere near bad, but King Kong just tanks it for me. So much missed potential here. If having Collision that low wasn't a hot take, then having 2 Scratch above it definitely is. What started as a song to prank CommunityGame turned into a fan favorite. Unfortunately though, it was removed to the dismay of fans because the joke worked, so there wasn't really a need for it anymore. The song was then brought back in the Trance update. Sort of. The original song was completely scrapped and replaced by a shell of its former self. What we got in Trance Attack was literally just a minute long. Granted, it's a really good minute, way better than March and Clash, but come on, this is the revival for the old fan favorite song? Like yes, the melodies are really good, but they feel a bit generic. The thing that made an old 2 Scratch so loved was how unique it was compared to other 2 Slow parodies. 2 Scratch V1 has almost nothing in common with 2 Slow, and that's what made it so special. Not only was it unique, but it was also just an amazing song in its own right. Obviously, I won't get into that because that's not the song we have now, but the point is that 2 Scratch V1 is an S tier with S plus potential. The 2 Scratch we have right now is just nowhere near as good, and it obviously comes back to the length. Now, I know that the song's existence is to prank fans who wanted 2 Scratch back, but the point of the original was to be a prank, and it turned out amazing. So why couldn't they have done the same with this one? I digress. Enough yapping for now. In conclusion, 2 Scratch is a decent little song, but a complete shell of its former self. Seriously, go listen to 2 Scratch V1 if you haven't, it's really good. You know, it's been a while since we've had another guest. What a perfect time for one to come in now. The American port entry was done by my friend Sans Ness. Take it away.
Right, thanks Simply. Hi, I'm Sans17, and I am one of Simply's friends. I have to admit, though every other person collaborating in this video loves Monster of Monsters wholeheartedly, I don't click with it as much as many others do. Many chromatics or songs remain a bit overrated in my mind. Despite my mixed feelings on the mod, there is one song that I feel is extremely overhated, and that is American Port. I have it in A tier, which is a lot higher than most have it. My reasoning is as follows. Clearly, American Port is a joke song, just by being a crappy, tiny, Game Boy looking style. Also, the instrumental is clearly far simpler than other songs in this mod. And this song is Tiny American Godzilla vs. Boyfriend. What I find strange is that this is the only usage of boyfriend in the entire mod. Like, in this whole mod, BF is in only 2 songs, one of which is 2 scratch, which is okay at best. This is by far the better BF appearance, at least to me. Either way, the song itself. I do think that the big reason that many put this song down is its simplicity, but I think that's kinda the point. Tiny Godzilla has a toned-down chromatic, which I really like. Not as much as Bass Godzilla, but still. The instrumental, as mentioned, is also simplified. Another thing is BF being here. The whole point of this song is to remain somewhat basic, and it does a good job of still using BF without butchering his vocals in the bit crush. Either way, the melodies are, outside of BF, pretty forgettable. Again, I can see why people don't like this song. However, there is one part that hard carries this song. The second half shows up close to the end, and Tiny Godzilla gets mad, pulling out his boxing glove. This part pops off, as both BF and Godzilla do much faster melodies and better sounding ones. I do have to say that the key change isn't the greatest, but it certainly is a good change of pace. In the end, the song is just a song that exists in the jukebox, but stands out to me as your #1 BF chromatic fan. Back to you, Simply.
Thank you, Ness. For me, the reason American port ranks this low is due to one simple thing: the compression. It's basically the same deal as Mortis from Step Right Up. Everything is there, except the vocals are compressed so much that the song itself suffers a lot. Boyfriend is honestly completely fine. I actually love the way he sounds in this song. It scratches my brain just right. My main problem is Godzilla. See, he's already fairly compressed normally, so adding another layer of compression on top of it just makes it sound like a complete mess. Again, the melodies, instrumental, and Boyfriend are all really good, but Godzilla single-handedly drags the entire song down to A tier. Wilting is probably the song I have the least to say on in the entire OST. Like, it's good, but that's just about it. The melodies are really solid, but don't really stand out from one another. Biolante's chromatic is good despite being just an instrument. There's almost nothing to say about Godzilla's performance in this song because it's good, but nothing more. I do have some issues though. First off is the instrumental. During the build-up in the intro, it's amazing because it matches the vocals perfectly. It enhances the duet between Godzilla and Biolante perfectly. But then when that duet ends, the melody in the instrumental keeps going. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it makes the instrumental just repetitive and a bit stale. Then everything changes during the second half when Biolante transforms. The instrumental gets crunchy and gritty, and it's very grating on the ears. Thank goodness it isn't louder, or else that would be a massive problem. My other issue is the ending. There's a whole build-up going on, but then the song just ends. I guess you could say it's a build-up to BioWar, but that doesn't change the fact that it's literally the end of the song. And ending on a build-up isn't the way to go. In the end, Wilting is one of the more forgettable songs, being way overshadowed by BioWar. But it's this high on the list because I just like it more than the ones below it. Simple as that. Forlorn Colossus is probably the song with the most missed potential in the mod. The song starts out with Godzilla singing alone, while the big Blighthead rises from the cave. It's a nice intro and does a good job setting up the rest of the song. The instrumental has a very melancholic feel to it, and I think it sounds lovely. and then the Blight starts singing. It has a decent chromatic. It can feel a bit staticky at times, and I do wish it had a bit more impact. Granted that the Blight is literally just a gigantic monster head thing. But for what it is, it works and it sounds nice. The problem is, this whole intro section is almost a minute long. It doesn't necessarily feel dragged out, but it's definitely noticeable when compared to the second half. The Blight's jaw falls off, and the weird snake thing inside is revealed. This is when the song really picks up. That first turn of the second half is absolutely immaculate. That melody is very, very good. The rest of this phase is also amazing. Very catchy melodies, instrumental picks up big time, it just gives off massive final boss energy. But man, it only lasts a minute and a half. I know that seems like a decent amount of time, but it goes by very fast for me. That combined with the fact that the intro is quite long makes me a bit disappointed. This song, despite being fairly long, leaves me wanting more just like the short songs from this mod. It's not too big of a deal because it's in high A tier, but that's just how I feel. If you think it's fine the way it is, I can totally see why, but I just want a little bit more from Forlorn Colossus. So yeah, the song was already pretty good, but I feel like it had the chance to be even better. Bad Signal. This is another really good one. It's a nice middle ground between Mysterion and Alomnesia. First off, I absolutely love how climactic this one is. It's frantic, but also has a melancholic feel to it. The melodies do a pretty good job showing this. It does take a while to get going, but after that first beat drop, it's very catchy. Then the build-up before the second drop is solid, and everything after the Mo-Gera is just phenomenal. My one gripe is that the pacing is a tad wonky. The intro and outro instrumental bits drag a bit too long, especially the outro because it robs us of the best part of the song. See, that's why I put it right next to Forlorn Colossus, because both have similar issues. They have their best parts cut short, and I just wish there was more of it. Otherwise, the instrumental is nice and impactful. Again, it's got that good melancholic feel because Mo-Gera is being glitched out towards the end. Mo-Gera himself sounds great, but just like in Mysterion, he can be a tad quiet. Same with Godzilla, actually. The instrumental is mixed a tad too loud and drowns out both of them. Godzilla, of course, sounds great in the parts you can hear him, though. Overall, just a great song. Not much to say about it, and I think it's overshadowed by Bad Omen, but I can totally understand if you prefer this one. Altered Wildlife. This is a strange one for me. I had a hard time placing this one at first because I had no clue how to feel about it. As I gave it more and more listens though, I solidified my opinions and the song grew on me a ton. Now, the reason I was so mixed on this song is just how weird the melodies are. Something about this song just feels off, and I kinda like that. There are some very unconventional melodies and patterns in this song that I can totally see being turnoffs for some people. I mean, they were for me at first. when you finally get them, oh man, they hit hard. That's the thing. This song has very hard-hitting melodies in general that are extremely catchy. Even back when I didn't really care for this song, the melodies were memorable for me, and I even found myself humming them sometimes. Okay, moving away from the melodies. The Matangos have very interesting chromatics. Just like their cousins from the other planets, they have instrument chromatics. The trance variants have weird, muffled trumpet things. I don't really know how to describe them. I didn't really like them at first, but it kinda grew on me over time. This Godzilla performance is also solid. Not his best, but certainly not his worst. The instrumental is actually very similar to Wilting's, where it has a very gritty feel, but then clears up later. Just like in that song, I'm not too big of a fan of the gritty section, but the stuff afterwards is really good. So yeah, Altered Wildlife is another great song. Not quite up to S tier, but honestly, I could see it getting there after some more listens. Alrighty, time for another guest speaker. The grieving section was done by my friend Moai. Take it away! Thank you, Moai. Grieving is a song I wish I loved more, because there is a lot to like with this song, but there are some fatal flaws that hold it back for me. Let's start with the strengths. This song's instrumental is absolutely incredible. It does an amazing job conveying a depressing tone. Obviously because the guy is called the Griever, so he's grieving. That and it just sounds good in general. The vocals are also done very well. Both Griever and Ambusher sound great, and they have very nice chemistry with Godzilla. But then, of course, we get to the melodies and the length. Yep, this is where the song starts to fall apart. Now don't get me wrong, the melodies in general are great, but they all kinda sound the same to me. The song pretty much doesn't change up anything melodies-wise at all. The Ambusher comes in, and it changes for a couple turns, and that's the best part of the song. Then everything just returns back to normal, and I'm wondering why I even change it up in the first place if everything reverts back a second later. I just need more variety in the melodies, man. This issue is also amplified by the length. This song is 4.5 minutes long. Why does a song about a random side character need to be this long? Mind you, this song is longer than some main story songs like Dissociative, Impairment, and Biowar. Songs that deserve to have the length that Grieving does, but don't. So, with melodies that feel samey and a length longer than all the main trance songs, it leaves me with a song that sounds good and I enjoy, but I get bored of it very fast. If you love this song, trust me, I can see it. But man, these issues hurt. I said Forlorn Colossus had the most missed potential, but it actually might be Grieving instead. Spawn is one of those songs that isn't really flashy, but it's just a bop. Seriously, these melodies are extremely catchy. Now, I will say that it does kinda have a similar problem to Grieving, where the melodies are great, but they feel kinda samey for the most part. What Spawn does have over Grieving is the key change at the end. Where Grieving barely changed the song and then went back to the original, Spawn's key change at the end is what puts it over the edge. First of all, the melodies there are just amazing like the rest of the song. Second, it's at the end, so you can't really change the song back afterwards. And third, it's where the Matangos sound the best. Speaking of them, the Matangos sound amazing in the song. Again, I'm normally not a fan of instrument chromatics, but the Matangos in this mod, minus the Pathos ones, are all exceptions. When you can use an instrument chromatic and not have it sound awkward, you know you've done your job right. The Matangos have nice flow and don't blend in with the instrumental, which are the two biggest pitfalls when it comes to instrument chromatics. Of course, I have to talk about Godzilla, who sounds great as per usual, but again, there's nothing really noteworthy about his performance. But then there are my issues with the song. And first is the instrumental. It's just a tad empty for my liking. Yes, it has a very spacey feel to it, but I feel like there's just nothing going on. It does pick up towards the end, but it still doesn't really change that much. And speaking of the instrumental, there's also instrumental intros and outros, which are each 25 seconds long. Yeah, they drag out a bit too long. This is a nice segue into the length, which is another issue of mine. 3.5 minutes is probably too much for the very first Matango song, and just like in Grieving, it amplifies the melodies feeling a tad samey. Honestly, just shortening each instrumental part would do wonders for the song. In the end, while Spawn is just a worse version of another song coming up, it still has some merit to it, and it's a song I occasionally come back to every once in a while. There's a small chance it sneaks into S tier, but time will tell. This is probably a surprise pick. Atrophy is another one of those songs where it's so close to being great, but just falls short. And just like a lot of other songs from this tier, it all boils down to the length. Everything about the song is basically perfect, besides the length. Monster X has an incredible chromatic. It's a nice combination of menacing, but not overpowering. Plus he's higher pitched, so he has nice chemistry with Godzilla. The mothership is also here, albeit for a short time. but its chromatic is solid. It's a bit airy, but I think it works. The instrumental goes for heavy metal, which works very well for this kind of song. The intensity is cranked up to 11, and I'm all for that. And of course, there's the melodies, which are just insanely catchy. The whole way through, the melodies are loud and in your face. There is a lull in the middle, but it's not boring by any means. In fact, I think it helps the pace out. The ending, though, is just incredible. Seriously amazing stuff in that ending. Some of the best melodies the mod has to offer. The way Monster X is slowly imposing his will on Godzilla, oh, it's so good. But of course, they just had to make the song a little less than 2 minutes long. I remember playing through the song myself on the first day Trance came out, and all I could think of when I saw the ending screen was, that's it? That fatal flaw is what's holding the song back from at least S and maybe even S+, who knows? Imagine if the song was 30 seconds longer. Then this would be a certified banger. But alas, that's not the reality we live in. I said both Forlorn Colossus and Grieving were the songs with the most missed potential, but Atrophy is easily another candidate for that title. Despite the glaring issue though, I do really like what we have now. It's just that it had the chance to be so much better. Now you may be wondering, Simply, you said this was your favorite mod of all time. We're 25 songs in and you're just now getting to the S tiers? Well, dear viewer, remember that this mod has 50 songs in it, which means yes, half of this mod is in S and above. This is unprecedented for mods of a similar size. Most of them have half of the S tiers that Monster of Monsters does. The numbers keep getting crazier the further we go, so let's continue. Starting off S tier, we have Skull Smash. It's one of the hidden gems in this OST. As one of the more recent additions to the jukebox, it's flown under the radar, but is really deserving of more credit. To be fair, first impressions are worth a lot, and the first time anyone sings in this song is the Yellow Monster. Yeah, when I first played this song and I heard this thing sing, I thought this was going to be a rough one. He uses an atonal, and not really a great one. Yes, he's being ripped in half and is currently dying, but like I always say, just because something is accurate doesn't mean I have to like it. His atonal is very squishy, yet feels dry. I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's hard to describe otherwise. I mean, it works in the song, but it doesn't really sound all that great. There are some positives though, like him not being a huge presence in the song, but he also has surprising chemistry with Godzilla. I wasn't really expecting that when I first heard it, but it was a pleasant surprise. They have a couple pop-offs together towards the middle of the first half, and they sound great. But then we get to Machine. Just like the Matangos, we have another instrument chromatic done right. First of all, what else are you going to give this guy? He's a robot. And secondly, it just sounds good in general. There are some moments where he's quiet, but I think he's worked into the song nicely. Anyway, back to Yellow Monster. This guy definitely gets the short end of the stick, because the best part of the song is actually when he dies. Because holy crap, these melodies go insane. Don't get me wrong, the melodies in the first half are strong, but once it gets down to only Machine and Godzilla, the song is cranked up to 11. This is the part that finally sold me. I don't really want to say that Yellow Monster was holding the song back, but that first impression was kinda rough, and he didn't really add too much to the song anyway. Oh yeah, there's also nothing really to say about the instrumental other than it's good and I like it. So yeah, Skull Smash needs to be talked about more. The only reason it's down here is because of Yellow Monster, but other than that, I just like the songs ahead of it more. Yes, I am 100% serious. Fractured Luminescence is an S tier above heavy hitters like Metal March and Collision. I am just as surprised as you. I originally had this song hovering around B and A on first listen, but upon hearing it again, everything clicked and I love this song. I think the best aspect of the entire song is Greg's chromatic. Yes, I know his official name is Mo. It's just before we knew that, my friends and I named him Greg on my first playthrough of Trance Attack, and he's become somewhat of a meme in my friend group. We even snuck him into some of our tier list icons. So I'm just going to call him Greg here for fun. Back to the song. Greg sounds phenomenal throughout the entire song, especially at the end with his long notes that have some reverb on them. Ooh, they're so good. You can tell he's a not Mogera because he sounds similar to the ones in Alomnesia and Machine Freak, but they all have different chromatics to expand upon the lore of them being somewhat of a species now, instead of just a one-off alternate Mogera. But yes, Greg and Godzilla have great chemistry too. The melodies are also very strong. It's one of those songs that gets better as it goes, and once you get to the end, it's paid off in a big way. But of course, I do have some complaints. You may be wondering, but simply, you put Forlorn Colossus and Bad Signal low because of their lengths. Fractured Luminescence is shorter than both. Why is it higher? To that I say, while those songs are indeed too short for my liking, it's because the good parts of those songs are what's really lacking. The difference between those and Fractured Luminescence is that this song is great the whole way through. Yes, I would have liked a bit more from this song, but how much more can I ask of a secret song about a so far inconsequential side character? The length is short, but it doesn't bother me as much as the other songs, is what I'm trying to say. My other complaint, though, is the instrumental. I like it, and it even has a sample from a song I really like at the end. But man, it's just mixed way too loud. It's hard to hear the vocals sometimes, and it's kinda annoying. For me, it's not song ruining, but honestly, I can see it if it does ruin the song for you. I'm fine with this being the hottest take of the video, but I don't care. Put some respect on my boy Greg. Look at that. 2 Not Mogera songs in a row. Machine Freak is another unassuming song that ends up being a hidden gem of the mod. It's actually very similar to Fractured Luminescence in a lot of ways. Besides the obvious one of them both being Not Mogera songs, there are also short songs that pack a big punch. This Not Mogera sounds distinctly different from the rest, which further makes it seem like each version is unique. I really like its chromatic here. It works very well with the fast pace of the song, and this higher pitched voice helps to give further chemistry with Godzilla. Speaking of the fast pace, the melodies. This song may be short, but oh man, these melodies hit hard. Just like Fractured Luminescence, Machine Freak gets better as it goes. Instead of getting more intense, Machine Freak opts for getting faster and faster. I really love that fact, as this encounter in the original creepypasta is very brief but intense, which is a perfect representation of the song. Then there's the instrumental, which starts out arcadey, but then shifts to a drum and bass as the song picks up. Also very random, but the instrumental towards the end sounds like the bass line for Bone Trestle from Undertale. Yeah, this has zero relevance, but I think it's kind of funny. I will say that the instrumental probably could have done a little more, especially towards the end, but we're getting close to nitpicking territory. Pretty much the only reasons it's down here are the length being a tad too short, and the fact that I just like the songs ahead of it more. Don't get me wrong, the melodies are really strong, but nowhere even close to the things coming later on this list. Though Machine Freak is a song I don't have that much to say about, but for a part in the original creepypasta that felt like a throwaway gag, they did it some justice in this mod. Yes, another Mothra exclusive. Flow of Lost Memories is another song I see fly under the radar, but I think it's definitely worth a re-listen. Now this song is different from the last couple ones because it goes for a chill vibe. I think it's a breath of fresh air from going around trance and getting all these intense and in-your-face songs to a nice laid-back one. And honestly, that's the reason I've liked this one from first listen. It stuck out from the bunch, whether you think that's for better or for worse. Let's talk about Mothra, because this is another one of her exclusive songs. It's a very mixed performance. There are some parts where she sounds pretty good, mostly where she's got faster notes. But geez, there are some parts where she sounds pretty bad. Her range is quite limited in this song. Her high notes are ear-piercing and her low notes sound muddy. It's only when you got her singing right in the middle when it sounds right. To be fair, when she's in the right conditions, her chromatic sounds good, but there are so many places where she can sound off that it cancels it out. Then there's Gesujura. His chromatic is very nice. Sure, it's pretty one note, but I think it's oddly soothing. It's like a quiet rumbling that fits him well and goes nicely with the song. Despite me describing it as quiet, it's not to the point where he blends in with the instrumental, which is a huge plus. The song's also got pretty good melodies. The main melody is catchy and memorable, and while most other ones are quite similar to it, I think they're just different enough to be memorable in their own right. I do have some issues though with the song, other than Mothra. First off is the length. I don't really think this song deserved to be 4.5 minutes. It's less of a problem than a song like Grieving, because the melodies are good enough to sort of justify it, but it gets to a point where I just want the song to end. Then there's the instrumental, which I don't really think does enough. It has some bright spots like the build-up out of the slow part, but mostly it's just kind of going through the motions. It's nowhere near bad, but it's just consistently alright with some good parts. So, while I can see why some people are turned away from Flow of Lost Memories, I think it's worth a shot. Also random, funnily enough, this isn't even the best chill song composed by Soccer Roll in the mod. That one is coming much later. After Hours. This is probably the song that grew on me the most from the Trance update. I used to think this song was kinda meh, but after many re-listens I can confidently say that this song is a banger! Even in the middle of making this video, I had to change the list around because After Hours was slowly climbing it. Getting into the song itself, it actually starts with the fake out. I think it works very well because in-game, it's very confusing seeing Godzilla by himself with no opponent, and when listening to it by itself, it works as a nice intro. And then all hell breaks loose as Godzilla is transported into the void, face to face with Hedorah. Yep, this is the song I was referring to in the Toxic Sludge segment. Hedorah is used a lot better in this song than in Toxic Sludge. He's still pretty squeaky, but less so here. I think it's due to the faster pace of After Hours in comparison to the slower and longer notes of Toxic Sludge. Godzilla here also sounds great in this song as per usual, but I want to highlight him because of his immaculate chemistry with Hedorah. Hedorah's shrillness pairs nicely with Godzilla's scratchiness in a way that itches my brain just right. Keeping with the vocals, Satellite is also here. It's another instrument chromatic, but again, just like the Matangos, what else are you gonna give this guy? It's a frickin' Satellite. I think it's a bit too high-pitched for my taste, but I still think it works quite well. I can see some people having a problem with it, but it doesn't really bother me that much. Actually, I can see people having a problem with every chromatic in the song. Hedorah's shrillness, Satellite's high pitch, Godzilla's scratchiness, and Gigan's compression. To be fair, they all used to bother me at first, but I've grown to like them. Oh yeah, Geigen's chromatic is also good. There's not really much to say about it because he's barely in the song, but yeah, I like it. Moving on, the instrumental is also a bop. It's got the extraterrestrial feel like a lot of other songs in this OST, but this one is unique because it's choppy and glitchy like something's off. It gives you the vibe of, you weren't supposed to see this, and I love it for that. I especially like the wind down at the end when Godzilla is transported back to reality. Now, the vocals and instrumental are great, but the best aspect of the song is easily the melodies. This song is one of the catchiest in the entire mod. Every single melody is memorable and gets stuck in my head all the time. I had such a hard time picking out a favorite part because there are so many moments that go hard. In the end, After Hours is a song that's grown on me a ton and will probably continue to do so in the future. As of right now, I just like the songs above it more, but honestly, After Hours has S+ potential. This will probably be one of the shorter entries, especially for an S tier. I was debating even including both Squid Games and Off with the Pretender, because they're just alternate versions of existing songs. Squid Games was easier because it and Amoeba were right next to each other, but Off with the Pretender gets annoying because it's hard to compare it to its counterpart when it places a lot higher. So I'll just save all my main points for when we get to Massive Nuclear Aggressors. First of all, Zilla here is decent, but I think he's a bit worse than an MNA, but it's hard to describe why. He has more impact behind his chromatic here, but I think it might actually be a bad thing. It makes his fast notes a lot rockier. It kinda ruins the flow a little bit. Same thing goes for Godzilla. His fast notes are a lot bubblier here. It was just a lot smoother back in MNA. The instrumentals are very similar to each other, so I'll ignore them and move on to the melodies. I mean, they're basically the same, except Off with the Pretender is a lot faster, and I think it makes the pacing a bit awkward. M&A was already a pretty fast song, so making it faster just makes it feel weird. There's also a bunch of random added notes which feel kinda off, and that's pretty much all I can say without getting into M&A. I pretty much always think remixes are worse than the original, with some exceptions, but it's still M&A, so it's still peak. Moving on. Exasperation is another song done by Kel. Take it away.
Time for my favorite song from Trance, Exasperation. Starting off with the most iconic aspect of the song, the instrumental. This instrumental is gorgeous. The starting violin is incredible, and then that sudden transition to non-stop intensity is executed really well. The instrumental really captures the vibe of fighting an incredibly tough foe, which makes sense since Not Heteru was considered the hardest fight yet by Zachary and NGC. Second, let's move into the chromatics. Godzilla sounds good as always. Not Heteru has a kind of unconventional chromatic, but it works. And the horse bats also sound good despite having yet another unconventional chromatic. They work with the instrumental flawlessly and show that Not Hedora is indeed a tough adversary. Overall, Exasperation is a song that kinda surprised me. I was expecting it to be good because it's a not kaiju song, it will be good. But after hearing Impairment, I didn't expect a song with this vibe. This one is an easy S plus tier that has managed to slither its way into my top 75.
Thank you, Kel. Exasperation is probably my least favorite not kaiju song, but every single one is really good, so that's not really saying much. Anyway, this song gave me kind of a shock going in, because that violin in the intro is just so beautiful. It's completely unexpected from a fight against a mutant skeleton snake thingy. This intro does an incredible job setting up Not Hedorah's story, and sets the table for the intense battle to come. And then the song hits you with another surprise. Not Hedorah's chromatic is, well, it's the only thing keeping this song from S+, to be completely honest. I wouldn't call it bad necessarily, but I feel like it just doesn't work in a song like this. It's just way too scratchy and extremely muddy. When Not Hedorah has fast notes, it's sometimes hard to distinguish them. Trust me, it isn't a bad chromatic and it isn't song ruining, but I feel like they could have done a lot better. Hey, at least Godzilla is singing his heart out because this is another amazing performance. Then the song hits you in the face with the pop-off to heavy metal, and this is what I expected from this song. Like Kel said, Zach says that Not Hedorah is the hardest boss so far, so it's expected for the song to come out swinging. These melodies all throughout this part, and even into the slowdown, are really good. It's just Not Hedorah makes it a tad grating sometimes. Then there's a break in a cutscene which is fine. Not much happens musically, and I think it's a tad too long, but it works, so I won't complain. In fact, the song's length in general I don't mind at all, especially since it deserves to be this long. It is a main story song after all. Not Hedorah screams and the finale kicks in. These melodies are phenomenal and very catchy. The horse bats are also back, but like I alluded to back in Ghoul, their chromatic is different. I don't really like it at all. They're oddly deep and guttural and it doesn't really fit them at all. I thought the chromatic in Ghoul was perfectly fine, but who knows how that would have sounded. Anyway, I've gone on this long without talking about the instrumental, which is the best part of the song. I have nothing to say other than it's amazing. The violin is peak, the tension is there, and it's very cinematic. So in conclusion, while Exasperation has some major problems, everything else is so good that it carries it into the top 20. If you can fully get over Not Hedorah's chromatic, then I can definitely see this one being a top song for you. Bad Omen may be a fairly short song, but holy crap does it pack a punch. This song represents the turning point of the mod, and I think it does an excellent job at doing so. For one, the intro is an instrumental bit. The lonely notes at the beginning give a sense of fate. Gazora is falling into this trap, and there is nothing you can do about it. Then the singing actually starts, and right off the bat you notice Gazora's chromatic. It's a lot softer in Bad Omen than in Amoeba, which is a massive improvement. And Godzilla also isn't compressed to hell and back, so that's nice. The melodies in this first part are also great. It's a short section, but a nice intro. But then, it happens. Gazora starts glitching out, and this is when the song gets amazing. It starts slow, like you need time to process what just happened. Then the song hits you with the gradual build-up, with a reference to Gazora's theme from the original game, and it's just perfect. Which then leads into the best part of the song, the Godzilla and Gazora duet. There's so much to say about this small part. First of all, both chromatics are absolutely incredible here. The chemistry is through the roof. And to add on top of it, the instrumental matches the vocals. Now, it's very hit or miss when songs do this, but when it works, oh man, it hits hard. But not just that. This melody is also a reference to Core from Undertale. You know the dun 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 part. Now, I've seen so many people call this the Bad Omen motif because it's the most prominent here, but I don't think it is. For one, if this motif is from Bad Omen, then why does it show up throughout the entire mod? It shows up in Gazora songs like Amoeba and Amnesia, which makes sense, but it also shows up in random songs like Out of Place and even Massive Nuclear Aggressors, which is a song that both comes before Bad Omen and also has nothing to do with Gazora at all. There's also a comment on the OST upload of Amnesia that talks about it being the core motif, and Lifer hearted it, so I'll assume that it's a core reference. Anyway, back to the song. Gazora's then completely consumed by the glitch, and his chromatic gets a bit shrill. I still think he sounds better in this part than all of Amoeba, plus the melodies are still amazing. So if I only spoke praises, then why is it so low? It's the length. Yeah, I wish the song was longer. It could have been an absolute masterpiece, but I think it's fine the way it is. Okay, I should probably wrap this up now. Bad Omen is a lot better than people give it credit for, and while I can see why people prefer Bad Signal, for me it's not even a contest. Stray was done by my friend Just a Guy, also known as Chris, so take it away. Thank you, Chris. It took us a while, but we finally reached the most divisive character in this entire mod, Titanosaurus. You either love him or you hate him, and clearly since both of his songs are an S or above, I love him. The reason he's so divisive is simply because of his chromatic. Now, with my opinions on chromatics like Gazora, Tankzilla, and Hedora, it would seem like I'd hate Titanos, but surprisingly enough, I actually love it. He's definitely squeaky and shrill, no doubt about that, but I think it's the impact behind his chromatic that makes it for me. When a chromatic like this has impact behind it, you get more of the actual chromatic and less of the squeaking. Remember, the chromatics I mentioned earlier all had almost no impact behind him. So in songs like Metal March, Toxic Sludge, and Amoeba, I was left with mostly squeaks and no substance. I can also see if the chromatic isn't your thing, because Titano can be very annoying if you haven't gotten used to it. Okay, enough about the chromatic, let's move on. Other than Titano's chromatic, I don't have too much to say about Stray. Starting off, the instrumental is solid for the most part. It shines during the breaks and pop-offs, but everything in between is just kinda bland. It's not really a bad thing, but it just doesn't really stand out. The melodies are really good though. The main melody is extremely catchy, and the pop-offs in this song are amazing. It shows Titano's dedication to take you down even after being killed. Respect to that guy. I also like what they did with the vocals. There are some parts that use the kaiju's roars as sort of like in a tonal, and I think it works very well. Titano's roar is oddly satisfying. I have no idea why, but I just like it a lot in this song. Oh, and like always, Godzilla's singing his heart out yet again. So yeah, Stray is a song I really like, but don't have too much to say about. It may be my least favorite of the two Titano songs, but come on. It's Stray! It's still amazing regardless. We end off S tier with another trance song, Filth and Magic. Unlike a lot of this OST, I love the song from the very beginning. Speaking of beginnings, this song starts out dark and mysterious with the instrumental intro. Godzilla starts, but then is met by everyone's favorite character, Goop! I love this little guy so much. And his chromatic is amazing too. It's yet another instrument, and just like all the rest, it's handled very well. Seriously, how did they get this little blob thing to sound so good? No matter, because as the tension is built, the song hits you in the face and becomes a straight up vibe for the rest of it. Yeah, this song is another bop. Goop and Godzilla get far together until Stupor enters in a bolt of lightning and sings one of the best melodies in the mod. Not to mention that his chromatic is just perfect. It fits the character extremely well, and it has such a nice flow to it. It hits the sweet spot of being deep and a bit scratchy, but nowhere near enough to end up like Not Hedora. All while the instrumental keeps up with a nice energy and pace. That's the thing with Filth and Magic. This song is never dull. Even the slow part towards the end has interesting melodies, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Stupor then transforms Goop into a little gremlin thing, and this is where my one problem lies. It has nothing to do with Goop itself, it's just that they barely use him in this form. He gets one turn to pop off right after, and then interjects a little bit during the slow part, and that's basically it. Goop is just deleted from the song right after. I love Gremlin Goop's chromatic too, so it's such a shame he wasn't there for the end. There's a pretty decent chance this song could have made S+ with him there too, but his second form still gets the best part of the song, so I won't complain. Besides the whole thing with Goop at the end, the song only ends up in S because the instrumental is a bit basic, but that's literally it. Everything else is essentially flawless. Yeah, I didn't have as much to say here than I thought, but Filth and Magic is just a freaking vibe. Some of the best melodies in the mod, incredible pacing, excellent chromatics. It's just I wish they gave Goop the respect he deserved. I said at the beginning of S that the numbers would get crazier, and here we are at S+, aka the songs I consider basically perfect. Also normally S+ isn't like this, but every single song from here on out is in my top 100 FNF songs of all time. So yes, Monster of Monsters has 15 songs in my top 100. To put that into perspective, a mod is lucky to have 2 entries from it. That is how much I love this mod. Without further ado, let's get into Wear My Skin, which was reviewed by my friend Sin. Thank you, Sin. Wear My Skin is a song that deserves so much more respect. Every Monsters list I see has in either A or B. It's very rare to see an S or above, and here I am with it in my top 100. You know, playing through the Trance update for the first time, this is most likely going to be your first impression of that planet. I'll always remember my first listen of the song, and thinking it was just okay, somewhere in low A tier. But then the more I listened to it, it just kept getting better and better and better and better. Okay, enough yapping. Let's get into the actual song. Wear My Skin is nothing like any other song in Monster of Monsters. Like Sin said, this one is chill instead of being fast and in your face. It certainly caught me off guard seeing Werebeak as this intimidating guy, and then hearing him sing over a funky beat. Maybe that's why it's so underrated, because it goes for a completely different vibe from the rest of the mod. I think it's a great change of pace, and helps the OST as a whole stay fresh. The song does take a little bit to get going, but once that first beat drop hits, I'm hooked. The main melody in this song is super catchy and memorable, and it's made even better by Werebeak's performance. Where chromatic as guttural and raspy as Werebeak's, they've somehow got flow. Seriously, their notes flow together extremely well, and it doesn't sound muddy at all. Even the fast notes towards the end are easily distinguishable and sound incredible. Of course, there's also Godzilla, who sounds amazing too. His fast notes are especially pleasant on the ears. Back to the first half, the song is going through the motions, it's great but not amazing. Until the instrumental has a moment of silence, and the mechanic comes in. Werebeak slams the stage as it turns purple, and the song really picks up. The faster pace really suits the song well, and keeps it from getting too stale. Until the song hits you with a Godzilla pop-off out of nowhere, and the song goes full God mode. This, while the piano goes off in the instrumental, is such an iconic moment in the mod, and it's what truly sells the song for me. Everything after this point is just flat out perfect. Werebeak and Godzilla duetting the main melody into the ending is just immaculate, all while the instrumental absolutely plays its heart out. So yeah, while I wish I had more to say, Wear My Skin starts out as a vibe that slowly turns into an absolute banger at the end. Please put some more respect on this song, it's criminally underrated. Okay, call me crazy all you want, but I am a firm Impairment believer. It's the shortest and simplest not kaiju song, but that aspect is amazing attention to detail. Zach says that Not Baron is the easiest of the bunch, so Crimson intentionally made the song simpler in order to reflect that. I think it's genius, and it works a lot better than you'd expect. The song starts with a slowly building up intro cutscene, which acts as both a small lore moment and a calm before the storm. Then Not Baron starts singing and everything goes insane. Zach describes Not Baron as the goofiest replacement monster, so it makes sense for everything in the song to be off slightly. See, that's the beauty of Impairment. This song is nothing special on the surface, but there are so many aspects of the song that fit with the lore of the original game, so I have no choice but to applaud them. We get our first taste of the main melody, and yet again, it's extremely catchy. Not Baron has a great chromatic to boot. It's scratchy like Godzilla's, but higher pitched, so it really does sound like a mutated ostrich thingy. Godzilla also sounds great, but again, there's nothing really noteworthy about his performance here. Then there's a calmer part in the classic style, which is a nice pace change. The instrumental gives off that nice 8-bit feel before the build-up. The melodies are still amazing, but that's all I can really say about that part. Then we lean into the wackiness as the distraction mechanic starts and the key changes. This is where the song goes from great to incredible. These melodies are insanely catchy, and I love the way that everything sounds wrong in the best way possible. It sounds off without sounding bad, if you know what I mean. It's hard to describe, but that's the best way I can. Once Godzilla and not Varen duet the main melody, I just start ascending. Both of them sing their hearts out, and the instrumental is going insane. I can't help but headbang. In the end, I don't really know why I love Impairment as much as I do, but it's in a similar boat to Wear My Skin. Both are starter songs from Trance that are extremely underrated. It's hard to describe why I love it so much, but here we are. Here we have Biowar. I'll be honest, I used to have this one a lot higher, but as time went on, it's fallen off a bit for me. Of course, it's still top 15 of the mod and is an S+ tier, but it doesn't hit the same anymore. For starters, Violente's chromatic is really good. I wouldn't call it amazing because she can be quiet sometimes, but I think it fits her decently well. Forgive me if I'm being wrong because I don't know that much Godzilla lore, but Violente is like a fusion of Godzilla, a human, and a plant, so that's why she sounds rather humanoid. Again, I like it a lot, and it's certainly better than the ones in Wilting and especially Dead Cells, but it's not perfect. Godzilla also sounds decent in this song. It's nowhere near his best performance, but he's serviceable. Now, if I spoke this ill about the vocals, then why is it so high? It's the melodies. This song is so darn catchy, man. The way it sounds like final boss music, the way Violente's giving it her all, it just flows so well. Except for the parts that don't. See, there are some parts in this song that sound kinda messy, and Violente's chromatic sounds like it's stumbling over itself. It's not completely song ruining, and I'd still consider those parts good, but that's one of the main factors for the song's fall off. With those negatives though, the rest of the melodies make up for it and then some. The entire ending pop-off alone makes up for those sections in a huge way. Oh yeah, the instrumental. I'll admit, it's nothing too insane, but I love the frantic energy it brings. It really hypes the song up and breathes life into it. So yeah, I still love Biowar, not as much as I used to, but it's still amazing. Oh boy, this is getting really long, and we're getting closer and closer to the top 10, so let's press on. Unbelievable Destroyer is like the exact opposite of Biowar. It started off being good at best, but the more I listened to it, it skyrocketed up the list. Starting off with the reasons it was relatively low to begin with, Varen's chromatic. I really like it. It's very intimidating, which makes sense because Varen is one of Godzilla's tougher foes. Unfortunately though, he can be a bit quiet sometimes, but for the most part he's really great. Same with Godzilla, but he still sounds amazing and has excellent chemistry with Varen. And then there's the melodies, which are extremely strong. They're super catchy and get stuck in my head all the time. Especially Varen's powering up phases, those melodies are just insanely good. And that's not to mention the key change and pop-off at the end, which is 45 seconds of pure Ascension material. I actually used to not really like this part before, but holy crap, once it hit, it hit! Varen and Godzilla put every single piece of their soul into the ending. Like, the moment you think it's gonna stop, it just keeps going like the two are in an endless stalemate. Seriously, whenever somebody talks about Unbelievable Destroyer, this is the part everyone talks about because it's that good. And it also has the core motif, so it's got that going for it. And then of course is the instrumental, which is just phenomenal. It packs a huge punch and brings much needed energy to the song. That plus it complements the vocals perfectly. Honestly, this instrumental could work as a standalone song. It feels like something pulled straight out of a movie. The climactic energy, the intensity, it shows that Varen means business. Plus the melodies inside the instrumental are just insanely catchy. And on top of that, the core motif comes back. And who could forget the ending pop-off being immaculate with even only the instrumental playing? It's so good! I could gush about this instrumental so much. It's one of my favorites, in not only the mod, but in all of FNF. There's a reason this is playable in the jukebox, because they absolutely cooked with this instrumental. Another thing I love about this song is that it's paced extremely well. The song is a little under 4 minutes, which is perfect length, plus the pace changes are spaced out in a way that makes the song not feel stale. So, Unbelievable Destroyer is nothing short of perfect, and I wish it wasn't drowned out by the bigger songs from Pathos. While my one nitpick are the somewhat quiet vocals, I firmly believe this one will continue climbing my list in the future. Moai's back again to do Remnant. Take it away. Thank you, Moai. Oh, Remnant. I have a history with this one. I saw everybody placing it at the top of their lists. Well, I thought it was just kinda mid. but just like a lot of songs nearby it in the ranking, it grew on me extremely fast. Let's just get the biggest turnoff for the song right out of the way first. This song will truly test your chromatic tolerance because wow, Gazora is grating in this song. When it comes to his chromatic, you either love it or you absolutely loathe it. There is no in between. I mean, it's the main reason I didn't really care for Remnant at first. I hated how piercing his voice was. Just like Moai, the more I listened to it, the more my issues with the vocals disappeared. Gazora is absolutely singing his heart out. He's actively being torn apart by Red, but is singing through it all. And that's why his chromatic sounds like shrieking. Realizing that fact is what kickstarted my character development. Again, I can totally see if you have a problem with it, because I used to, but I've grown to love it. The shrieking is more noticeable when the instrumental is in a lull, but for the most part, blending into the instrumental helps it to be less piercing. There's also Godzilla who, just like in Bad Omen, is a perfect foil to Gazora. He's deep and scratchy, so the two have excellent chemistry during their many times singing over each other. My Mind also comes in later, and his chromatic is just a deeper not Gazora. And spoiler alert for Amoeba, I adore his chromatic. He's not in the song for too long, but his long notes are eerie and full of depth, plus his fast duet with Gazora at the end is just immaculate. Now that I've talked about the vocals, let's move on to the melodies because they are extremely strong. Like Moai said, this song is just pure desperation. Glitchy Gazora is fighting for his life throughout this entire song, and it's reflected in the frantic and hard-hitting melodies. I love how the song slowly picks up. It starts out with slow and long notes, which speeds up after the first drop, and then goes insane after the second drop. It's paced very well, and the song is never boring. Plus, the back-to-back Bad Omen and Amoeba references in the middle are really cool. All of the melodies stick in my mind and are extremely catchy. Then there's the instrumental, which is one of the hardest hitting ones in the OST. This song has one of the nastiest beats in the mod. The drums are absolutely putting in work, and it makes this song such a headbanger. So, despite absolutely adoring Remnant, it places outside the top 10 because I just like the songs above it more. This song was also reviewed by Ness. Take it away.
There's one song from this mod that has always been really mind-blowing, Deus, ex-Machina. This song, despite being a joke song, is by far one of the best FNF songs I've heard, and my easy favorite of the mod. So how about the song itself? Well, surprisingly enough, Godzilla himself never appears in this song. Instead, we get this finger puppet guy named Zalta. Zalta's chromatic is pretty good, but it's still scratchy. Then again, that's an issue I have with most chromatics in this mod. John Madden, however, sounds fantastic the whole way through. For some reason, his chromatic is insanely satisfying to listen to, and this intro makes it clear it's a joke when you hear, "That's my game, what's yours?" Beautiful, simply beautiful. Either way, the song then pops off as the instrumental sounds surprisingly strong in this part with a very cool piano playing in the background. I wonder if that is going to be important. Spoiler alert, it's important. John Madden then says, "Yeah, that's me," and hops on the piano. He then pops off, fixing my major issue with the song. Again, the chromatics are hit or miss for most of Monster of Monsters, but Deus Ex Machina has these instrumental parts akin to Flavor Rave, bold or brash, or something like that. Also, this instrumental part is near perfection as Alta simply backs off to watch TV as John Madden goes off. However, as soon as John Madden ends, they go back to having amazing back and forth right before the song slows down. This part is surprisingly dramatic given the circumstances as the instrumental slows down to let the chromatics shine in their best usage in the song. That is before easily the best part of the song. Guitar solo, baby! John Madden picks up his guitar and Zolta picks up his, and they just clash. It goes completely crazy as Zolta and Madden play through the best melodies in the song. Plus, they just sound fantastic. Like, this is one of the best instrumental sections I've heard in any song in FNF. As the song wraps up, it does not let up at all. Somehow, even after the guitar part finishes up, it carries that energy all the way to the end. The song then wraps up and only ends when John Madden dies. For such a stupid concept, it certainly remains strong, being my favorite of this mod. Back to you, Simply.
Thank you, Ness. There's a reason Deus Ex Machina is one of the fan favorites. It goes insanely hard. Seriously, why did they make the token joke song this good? This song hits you with energy right out the gate. The instrumental only gets a moment to breathe before John Madden starts singing. Holy crap, why is this chromatic this incredible? It sounds just like the real hymn, plus it has insane flow and is just incredibly satisfying to listen to. His notes flow together like butter, but again, without getting muddy. I'm baffled at why legendary football coach and commentator John Madden has one of the best chromatics in this mod. Make it make sense! There's also Godzilla's replacement, Zolta, who sounds goofy in the best way possible. I love how derpy he sounds, it fits the character to a T. He also has nice chemistry with Madden, being rather scratchy and choppy, while Madden is nice and smooth. The melodies in this intro are also amazing. Like I said earlier, you get hit with the intense nature of the song right away. In the joke ending of the NGC, John Madden is the final boss, so this song's intensity is justified and then some. It's actually one of the best aspects of the song. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. The final boss-like energy is so over the top that it's perfect for this type of song. Of course, this is also exemplified by the instrumental, which has bells tolling in the background. No, not you, go away! Anyway, the bells in the background signify fate and a climactic battle. Again, this song does not take itself seriously, and it's just perfect. Speaking of that, Madden decides to hit an epic piano solo because why not? The piano sounds amazing. The melodies in that section are top-notch. I just love it. I also like the fact that Zolta just starts watching TV out of nowhere. It's a funny gag, that's all there is to it. Then the slowdown hits, and yup, it's still great. Madden's deep notes sound heavenly as Zolta starts building the song back up into the guitar part. Now, I've gone on record saying I don't like guitar solos in FNF because they come off as lazy. Yeah, joke's on you because this isn't a guitar solo. It's a guitar duet! Both guitars sound great, and I'm so glad they gave them completely distinct sounds in order for them to not blend together. Plus, this entire section has insanely catchy melodies. Normally, I don't like it when songs have two separate instrument sections, where they use different instruments, but both the piano and guitar parts are relatively short, so they don't clash at all and it leaves the normal vocal parts to still shine. And shine they do because this ending is absolute perfection. It's the best part of the song, it has best melodies, the instrumental is at its peak, Madden and Zolta are giving it their all, until Madden screams and it's a sprint to the finish. It's a reprise at the beginning, but with all the tension we built up boiling over. It's one last hurrah for the both of them, until Madden is finally defeated. Yeah, Deus Ex Machina is so peak. Not only is it one of the best this OST has to offer, but it's one of the best joke songs ever. Actually, I'm pretty sure it is my favorite joke song. It was so close to reaching the next tier, but just fell short. Mostly because while it's perfect all the way through, I still just like the remaining songs more. Still incredibly impressive for a joke song of all things to be this good. It's such a fun song that never fails to give me a massive smile on my face whenever it comes on. In case any of you didn't know, this tier is reserved for my top 25 FNF songs ever. So yes, 9 out of my top 25 FNF songs of all time are from this mod. This is why it's my favorite. Yes, the mod has plenty of songs that are just good. That's natural for a mod this big. It's just that the songs at the top are so unbelievably good that it's shocking. So without further ado, let's start off this tier with number 9, Out of Place, hosted by my friend Endless Void. And yeah, he has some opinions on this one.
Out of Place, the only F tier from an otherwise incredible mod. Don't get me wrong, I love Monster of Monsters. It's one of my favorite mods. I have a song in top 5 FNF from the mod, so it's safe to say that I enjoy it. But Out of Place, I hate that song with a burning passion. Let's start with Titanosaurus's Chromatic, which is serviceable. It's used way better in Stray, but it's fine here. My big problem is the pacing. The song starts up, slows down, cuts to a stupid atonal section that kills the pacing, and starts up again. Combine this with the speed of the song, and the resulting whiplash irritates me to no end. If you enjoy the song, great for you. You can have your own opinions, and they are just as valid as mine. So don't harass me. I understand why you guys love it, but I cannot find enough redeeming qualities to save this song from dead last.
Thank you, Void. I know it sounds shocking given how much I adore this mod, but there are only 3 songs I liked upon first listen to Pathos Attack. That was Redkiller, Biowar, and Out of Place. The song starts with an unassuming instrumental section before Godzilla begins. There's not much to say about this part, but you notice the song slowly picking up steam. Titano then has a small little pop-off, but his chromatic is extremely quiet here for some reason. I mean, it doesn't sound bad, so I don't see it as a flaw, but it's just kinda confusing. The song is still gradually building up until BOOM! Titano is finally unleashed and the song is at full energy. Let me just quickly touch up on the vocals, because I've discussed both chromatics before. Godzilla sounds amazing, duh, but he's extra special here. The way he hits all of his extremely fast notes is just so satisfying to me. He has a naturally choppy chromatic, but a song at this fast of a tempo makes it so that it works to his benefit. And then there's Titano, still divisive as ever. I loved his chromatic in Stray, but I love it even more in Out of Place. There was a filter over his voice in Stray that made him sound a bit too loud and overbearing, but it's not in this song. Even with no filter, Titano's chromatic still has the impact you want to make it better than the other squeaky chromatics. Plus, just like Godzilla, Titano's extremely fast notes just sound incredible. He hits all of them effortlessly, and it's why his chromatic works so much better in Out of Place than Stray. Titano's chromatic was built with a song of this tempo in mind. So while Stray does have fast moments, in all the other parts, Titano's chromatic isn't used to its full potential. Okay, moving on to the instrumental. It brings the energy, but in a more laid-back style if you know what I mean. It's not doing a ton, but it's doing enough to keep you engaged and lets the melodies take center stage. I like it when instrumentals do this. They don't all have to be their own separate song to be effective. They just have to enhance the vocals. Out of Place's instrumental definitely cannot work on its own, but the song as a whole would be a lot worse without it. That of course brings us to the best part of the song, these immaculate melodies. I freaking adore these melodies, man. That's why I loved it on first listen, because melodies are the first thing I pay attention to after chromatics. This song just has so many iconic moments. The main melody is incredibly catchy, the reference to Core, and another part that kinda sounds like the first turn of Spectral from Verse Retrospector, and of course Titano's pop-off near the middle of the song. Everything I love about the song comes together perfectly in this moment. Titano and Godzilla's ability to handle blistering speeds, the instrumental taking a backseat to let the vocals shine, and this melody being one of the best in the entire mod. This one part alone made my jaw drop listening to it for the first time, and completely sold me on the song. and even then, everything after it is still absolutely incredible. Even the slowdown parts are spaced out nicely and give you some time to catch your breath. Those parts are needed because a song that's this fast can't keep up the energy for that long before it just gets messy. So, Out of Place is a song that has expertly used chromatics, an instrumental designed to complement those chromatics perfectly, and melodies that are insanely catchy and get stuck in your head all the time. Yeah, that sounds like a song that plenty deserves top 25 FNF. But the best part is, it somehow goes up from here. For as much as I hate Mothra, it's honestly mind-blowing how amazing Hope Eater is. Like seriously, out of every song from this mod that features Mothra, including the Mothra mixes, this is the best one and it's not even close. It starts out like any other song does. I see Mothra, I let out a huge sigh of disappointment because her chromatic ruins pretty much every song she's in. But then Beaker starts singing, and you realize that this chromatic is insanely good. It sounds very stuffy, which is pretty off-putting at first, but once you get used to it, oh man, it becomes one of the best chromatics in the mod. Beaker's voice is extremely versatile, and it's shown off very well in this song. It can hold long notes, it can hit fast notes in quick succession like at the end, it has decent range. All the while, it just sounds amazing in general the entire time. But then, the moment of truth. How does Mothra play into all this, you ask? She's actually not that bad. This song is practically the perfect environment for her. No weird filters like in Plague of Pestis, no extremely high or low notes like in Flow of Lost Memories. It's just pure Mothra. Her squeakiness is also toned down a bit, which of course is a huge positive. Of course, when I heard this song for the first time, I was still absolutely annoyed that Mothra was here, but as I listened to it more, I started to not mind her at all. In fact, she has surprisingly great chemistry with Beaker. Beaker's chromatic has a ton of weight to it, which is a nice foil to Mothra's shrillness. I still would have loved a Hope Eater Godzilla mix, which was scrapped, but who knows, maybe we'll get one in the future. Oh crap, I almost forgot about the most iconic character, Glitchy Spinner! This absolute legend comes in for 2 turns, lays some absolute bars, and then dips. What a guy. We love Glitchy Spinner, we all say in unison. Anyway, not only are the vocals great, but so is the instrumental. Just like a lot of songs from this mod, it's got a spacey, arcadey feel to it, but the thing about this one is its progression. It keeps building and building and building throughout the entire song, until it gets to the end and just pops the hell off. The ending of this instrumental has some absolutely insane beats that rival and maybe even surpass those of Remnant's. The drums have authority to them, and the stellar synths play some really nice melodies. Speaking of melodies, Hope Eater has some of the hardest hitting ones in not only the mod, but in FNF as a whole. Every single melody in this song is extremely catchy and memorable. The main melody is perfect, and every time it comes back up in the song, it gets better and better. And don't even get me started on Beaker's last turn of the song, with all the super fast notes. Oh my god, that part goes insane! The way Beaker's chromatic hits those notes, making it sound like vibrato, just hits different. I seriously cannot help but headbang to that ending, it's just so perfect. That turn combined with the hyped up instrumental is a top moment of the mod, no doubt about it. Another shocking thing about this song is the pacing. It's over 4.5 minutes long, but I actually think it goes by relatively fast. All the melodies are spaced out nice, there's a lot of different sections to change it up. This song just never gets boring. You know, if it's possible to have Mothra songs that are this high quality, I have hope that we're eating good on Entropy because that's the Mothra exclusive planet. I'll see myself out. Bolitas Mons. Where do I even begin with this song? There's probably another surprising pick, because as far as I know, it's not talked about, like, at all. Sure, people like it, but nowhere near as much as I do. If you all watch my video on Mario's Madness, this is basically Monster Monster's version of Mario singing Game Rhythm 9. Because just like that song, Bolitas Mons is seriously one of the catchiest songs in all of FNF. The main melody is, no joke, one of the best melodies I have ever heard, period. I'm seriously having a hard time describing how much I love this main melody. I can't really put it into words. Even on first listen when I wasn't 100% sold on the song, I knew that this main melody was still insanely good. It's extremely catchy, and memorable to the point where I randomly start humming it out of nowhere. Not only is that melody amazing, but the rest of the song is too. I love that it slowly builds up every time the chorus is about to play, like it knows that it's the main event, and is giving you small tastes of it along the way. Clearly they aren't as good as the main melody, but I still love them to pieces. Said melodies are also enhanced by the excellent vocals. This is the height of instrument chromatics. The Matango's chromatics are literally just a synth, but they somehow sound so good. The reverb on their voices, the way it kinda sounds like they have vibrato, it just makes for a chromatic that sounds so satisfying to listen to. Easily the best Matango performance of the mod. Yeah, I have this chromatic burned into my brain, that whenever I hear this synth used anywhere, like in an instrumental or something, I immediately default to Bolitas Mons. That's how much I love it. I also find it funny how they have a different chromatic in Spawn, because the composer didn't know what synth was used in Bolitas Mons. Godzilla also sounds great. How many times do I even need to say that? He's a bit scratchier in the song, which you'd think is bad, but I don't mind it at all. Because when he's singing that main melody and hits the high notes, he sounds incredible. To make it even better, the instrumental also slaps. Yes, it's yet another spacey instrumental, but it's very bouncy just like you'd expect out of our little alien fungus friend. It's not your average spacey instrumental though, because during some of the slower parts, it even pulls out an acoustic guitar, which is an unexpected but welcome addition. And don't even get me started on the build-ups, because once the bouncy synths kick back in, there's no going back. Until the chorus comes up, and I start bumping. Bolitas Mons is just such a fun song, man. Yes, it's not that deep on the surface, but who needs deep when you are extremely catchy and bouncy? This song flip-flops with Hope Eater all the time, but I slightly prefer Bolitas because it really depends on how much I tolerate Mothra and Hope Eater, because it can fluctuate a bit. So please, put some respect on Bolitas' name for me, because once you fall in love with these melodies, there's no way you cannot headbang while listening to them. If you combine the fast pace and energy of Out of Place or Deus Ex Machina with the hard-hitting melodies of Hope Eater or Bilitis Mons, you get massive nuclear aggressors. When the song starts out, it doesn't seem like anything special. Godzilla and Regular Zilla start almost right out of the gate. I see these couple turns as the two of them sizing each other up to see how they'd fare in a battle. I mean, this part's good. The melodies aren't that interesting, but they don't have to be, because it's what's coming next that's special. The two of them take turns roaring at the other, and then all hell breaks loose because it's time to rock and roll, baby! Yep, the spacey songs are over with, it's time for some heavy metal. These electric guitars are just going absolutely nuts, and the screaming sampled from other rock songs just add to the immersion so much. There's also a random violin that keeps building and building during the pop-off that's hard to notice, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. I actually never knew about it until I listened to the Bear instrumental for the first time, and I gotta say, for it being nothing like heavy metal, it fits surprisingly well. Of course, on top of the instrumental, there's also Godzilla and Zilla screaming their hearts out. Godzilla's pretty much the same here as he was in Out of Place, able to hit the extremely fast notes with relative ease. I will admit that he's a bit clunkier here than in Out of Place, but I don't have a problem with it. And then there's Zilla, whose chromatic is just phenomenal. You can tell his voice is filled with hatred of being the inferior Godzilla. The way he snarls, and his ability to hit his fast notes even better than Godzilla and even Titana were able to. It's also got a great flow to it. If I were to nitpick it all, I wish it'd be a bit louder, but clearly with it being just outside the top 5, I still love the song the way it is. Well, you can't have an amazing chromatic and not use them for amazing melodies. Yep, another extremely catchy song. After the kaiju's roar, this song slams on the gas and never looks back. The main melody during the pop-offs, at both the beginning and the end, make for such great moments, and have catchy melodies to boot. Godzilla and Zilla will fight to the death, no matter who comes out on top. In fact, they go so hard that they blow up the entirety of Sydney while doing it. This leads into the slowdown, and just like I said with Out of Place, this part is needed to not completely overwhelm me with the excitement and energy. And the core motif comes back in this part, so that's pretty cool. I also love the way it abruptly stops, like both of them realized, wait a second, aren't we supposed to be killing each other? And then it leads right back into another roar in the final pop-off. I just love the pacing of this song, being incredibly fast but never overbearing. I see plenty of people diss this song for being messy, and while I can see that being an issue for others, it's certainly not one for me. Heavy metal is supposed to be messy and in your face, but it's a controlled chaos if you know what I mean. Think Spicy's guitar solos from Flavor Rave, or heck even Madden's instrument solos from Deus Ex Machina. They're both chaotic, but don't go overboard, which is why they're loved so much. Before I end, I think I should go back to Off with the Pretender. Basically, the reason I don't like it as much is because I feel like it's trying too hard to be epic, when the bass song already is. It's like cooking your food further, despite it already being cooked. You're just going to end up burning it. Obviously, I don't hate Off with the Pretender because it was still an S tier, but I think it's noticeably weaker than M&A. In conclusion, M&A is a heavy hitter of a song. It goes for metal and succeeds wonderfully. I'm still baffled on why they went this hard for Zilla's song, because even though I don't know that much Godzilla lore, I know enough to know that he's a total loser. Thank you devs for giving him some respect for once. I just want to take this time to say that every song from this point on is in my top 10 FNF songs of all time. That means half of my top 10 is from this mod. Okay, enough yapping. Here's Can't Change What You Are, hosted by Void.
I know my other entry was pretty negative, but now it's time to talk about my favorite of the mod, and one of the greatest FNF songs of all time, Can't Change What You Are. This song does everything perfectly. I don't have a complaint to speak of. I don't think I can do it justice, but I can try. False Light easily has my favorite chromatic of the mod. I love how deep and menacing it is, and it pairs incredibly with Godzilla's vocals. The melodies sound so climactic and shows how big of a battle this is between the two. But probably my favorite part of the song is the instrumental. This instrumental might be one of, if not my favorite, in all of FNF. The guitar, the drums, the small bits with the piano, they're all done to absolute perfection. And the instrumental ending with the cutscene just ends this song masterfully. The ICU Zachary line keeps up the feeling of this mod and the creepypasta it's based off of. Honestly, the only thing I'm wondering is if the Monster of Monsters team can top this. Can't Change What You Are is a masterpiece of a song and will forever be perfect to me.
Thank you, Void. What I love about these songs at the top is the scope that they go for. All these remaining songs are cinematic, and Can't Change What You Are is honestly the best example of this. The song starts out with a cutscene and an absolutely gorgeous piano. This part sounds empty, which characterizes False Light perfectly, as a character who had all of his purpose in life stripped away by jealousy and rage. It sets the stage amazingly for what's to come. But then the song hits you right in the face with False Light's entrance, and this is when things go from 0 to 100. False Light's chromatic is genuinely perfect. He's deep and intimidating, and his chromatic is commanding over the entire song. Probably my second favorite chromatic in the mod, after the opponent of the next song. It has immaculate flow, and is incredibly satisfying on the ears. Godzilla's fantastic as ever in this song, and he has amazing chemistry with False Light. False Light Cell comes in later, and also has a peak chromatic. Remember the trunk ghost from all the way back in Ghoul? Yeah, this is just one of those, but a lot better. It's a gritty chromatic, but also high-pitched, which sounds like an oxymoron, but it's absolutely incredible, and it works well with the other two vocals. Not only do the vocals have absolutely zero flaws, but so do the melodies. False Light's intro is extremely powerful, showing how determined he is to spread Red's darkness. But then when Godzilla roars and the song pops off for real, oh man, I just start ascending. Just such great stuff, man. So catchy, so memorable, and giving off massive final boss energy. False Light fills his melodies full of rage and envy, and you can just feel his emotions boiling over as Godzilla continues to fight on. False Light Cell also adding in nice backing vocals is just, it's so perfect. All of the high notes throughout this portion just, they sound so good! But then everything calms down for a bit, as False Light gets a hold of himself and focuses on his mission. Suddenly he starts building the song up again, in preparation for one of the most iconic parts of the entire mod, the instrumental portion. Everything cuts, and the piano from the intro comes back, still as beautiful as ever, as other instruments slowly continue to be added. Then just like the beginning, boom! The song hits you again at full force. The intense battle being highlighted by the electric guitars, as False Light hits you with the bone-chilling voice line, "I see you, Zachary!" And just like that, False Light is no more. This part is just so beautiful, and brings me to tears just thinking about it. This is what I meant in the intro of the segment. The scope of this song is just incredible. This whole instrumental section feels like it was pulled straight from a movie. Doing a whole anime battle as an instrumental-only section was a huge risk, but it certainly paid off, as this is one of the best moments in all of FNF. I'll be honest, when I first heard this section, I loved it, but I was a bit disappointed that the high stakes of the vocal parts were just cut off like that. But the more I listened to this song, the more of an appreciation I got for this entire battle section, and it helped catapult it into my top 10. In the end, Can't Change What You Are is a fan favorite for a reason. Since Trance doesn't have a Red song, this is effectively the finale of the planet, and it absolutely succeeds in this role, no doubt about it. The scope of this song leaves me incredibly excited for what's to come from future updates of this mod. Redkiller was also done by Chris, so take it away. Thank you, Chris. Well, we finally arrived at the one, the only, easily the most iconic and popular song from this mod, Redkiller. This, like many others, was the song that introduced me to Monster of Monsters, and it holds a special place in my heart. There's so much to say here, so let's just get going. Even though there are songs that come after it in the mod, as of right now, this is the emotional climax of the story as you come face to face with the one who's orchestrating it all, Red himself. The song starts out very quiet but ominous. The background is darkened, so you're still making out your surroundings. Godzilla starts, still confused as what he's up against, and Red shortly follows. He seems cocky, like he knows that even with giving Godzilla the first move, he's still going to win. As the fire rises, it's finally clear who you're up against. The greatest evil you will ever face. This whole intro sequence is just chef's kiss. Red probably has my favorite chromatic in all of FNF. He's clear, deadly, and smooth. Like he means business, and he will make you suffer. It's impossible to make his chromatic sound bad. Every single moment he's singing is a joy to the ears. He can hit fast notes, long notes, high notes, low notes. His chromatic is so versatile, it's mind-blowing. And then there's Godzilla, who's a nice mirror to Red. Scratchy, deep, but still has the pipes to take him on. This song is a vocals masterclass, and they only get better as the song progresses. Once things finally pick up, the melodies are absolutely beautiful. You can feel the gravity of the situation in every single note hit, but especially the long notes. Gee, I wonder if this will come up again. The tension all around is malleable, and that's what Sturm does best, is set up such intense moments. Just look at his other songs like Alert, Legacy, Fake Baby, Silly Billy, and even Surrogate. Besides, this middle part also has extremely catchy melodies. I love it when Red and Godzilla come together from each of their respective parts to sing a long note. It's the little things that matter a lot. Plus, the instrumental keeps building and building, the high synths holding the tension while the drums keep the energy up. It's just masterful. The people that don't like this song often cite the length of this section as their biggest problem, but I totally disagree. At least for me, the melodies are interesting enough to keep me engaged the entire time. And I would say, as the de facto finale song, Redkiller absolutely deserves to be the longest of the mod. But the instrumental pauses to catch its breath, but then Red gets angry and throws us right back in. I love this moment, showing that Red is pulling out all the stops. And pull out all the stops he does, as this bridge leads us to one of the best parts in FNF history, the cave part. Words cannot accurately describe how much I adore this part. Red's long notes sound heavenly and really hold some weight to them, as his atrocities flash in the background. The gravity of this part, of the entire story, is laid out plain to see as Red's backstory is shown off. Everything you've encountered thus far has led up to this very moment. The melodies are gorgeous, the instrumental taking a bit of a backseat to let it all sink in. It's just perfection incarnate. All of the emotion of realizing what Red has done, spilling over, is just a perfect culminating moment of the mod. But Godzilla has yet to have his turn, as he starts singing his absolute soul out in these gorgeous long notes. The cave part of Redkiller has made me cry before, and I've said this previously, but it takes a lot to get me to cry to a piece of media. Even after all that, and Red still isn't finished with you. He pours the rest of his heart into a reprise of an earlier melody, and this last gasp before the finish. I honestly cannot think of a better way to end, as the song ends just like it started, with a low and droning instrumental. Redkiller is a song that just means so much to me. The intensity, the drama, the emotion, it all defines this perfect song. You can just feel the love and care poured into this song. I give massive credit not only to Sturm, but just everybody that worked on this mod as a whole. There's a reason it won my polls for the most popular song of the mod, and it 100% without a doubt deserves all of the hype it gets. And yet, somehow, after all that, there's still 3 songs that I like more. Let's get into them. Hey guys, and welcome to Orga Gaming! Dissociative on my first playthrough of Trance was no doubt my favorite from that planet. Actually, it skyrocketed all the way up to my second favorite FNF song. So those of you who knew me probably know Dissociative was going to place this high, but you're probably confused why it isn't higher. We'll get into why at the end, but for now let's just get into the song. It starts out just like Redkiller does, with a low, droning, and ominous instrumental. Mini Orga shows up in the 2 commence. Just like in Redkiller, I love this intro as it perfectly sets the table for what's to come. Godzilla sounds amazing yet again. Come on, do I even need to say it anymore? You already know this. While Godzilla's great, it's Orga who truly steals the show. His chromatic is another perfect one. It's deep and gravelly, but has some real power behind it. It shows how fearsome of an opponent he is, as his voice booms over the song. It has some nice range too. His fast notes are sharp like in the pop-offs, and his long notes are menacing. Speaking of long notes, this is a recurring theme throughout the song, as they happen every time Orga's powering up. The way Godzilla and Orga duet them is just so satisfying, and makes for incredibly suspenseful moments. This also leads into the biggest complaint I see about this song, which are these long notes and pauses. These are scattered throughout the song, and people say they're boring. Honestly, I could see why others would think it's boring, but I believe they add a lot to the song. Just like I said for Out of Place and M&A, moments like these serve to let everyone breathe, but also keeps the suspense up. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself again. The first phase kicks in and is just incredible. The melodies are all extremely catchy and memorable, and it stays like that for a while until, holy crap, Alomnesia reference! Yep. The moment I heard this for the first time, I nearly screamed. The double notes part of Alomnesia is referenced in this song. I'll get to talk about that soon enough, but just know that when you're referencing a peak song like Alomnesia, and it happens to be the best part of said song, you know you've done something right. At that very moment, I was sold on the song. But it gets even better. We get another pause and long notes part before the POV change, and man, this is such a powerful part. Orga taking a very long turn, trying to impose his will on Godzilla, Like I said about previous songs, this part is like it's pulled straight out of a movie. And guess what? It gets even better! Another pause in long notes part as Orga tries to eat Godzilla before it happens. Orga's rage boils over as they both scream, and it leads into the final pop-off. This section right here is one of the greatest parts in all of FNF. Sure, it doesn't have an emotional core like Redkiller's cave part, but the way every aspect of the song coalesces into one is just phenomenal stuff. Orga putting his everything into the extra long turn, singing melodies that are just heavenly, as the instrumental blends in to give his vocals a boost. Ooh, it just gets me every time. Godzilla sees an opening to take his turn, and he responds with the core motif because, why not? But then he immediately continues the pop-off as Orga adds in his long notes as backing. I was left speechless after hearing this for the first time, and it's a huge reason as to why it absolutely dominated my top songs list. But of course, as you can see, it fell off a bit. First of all, the honeymoon phase just ended, which is understandable because that happens for most things. But the second reason was its replayability. I can gauge how much I like a song by how many times I can listen to it in a row without getting tired. I mean, I listened to Frostbite for 5 hours in a row for Christ's sake. So I found out that I just got tired of Dissociative faster than the 2 songs ahead of it, so that's why it lands here. Still, this song is perfect and definitely my favorite from Trance Attack, and a worthy member of my top 5 FNF songs of all time. Here we have our very last guest appearance. Alomnesia is hosted by Sin. Take it away. Thank you, Sin. Where do I even begin with Alomnesia? This song is so big and complex that I don't think I can fully do it justice, but I can try my hardest. Alomnesia is the work of 3 composers who each made their own portion of the song. The coordination must have been freaking immaculate because it's insane how 3 people came together to make one of the single greatest songs I've ever heard. Starting out with Scrumbo's part, his is the longest, going from the beginning all the way till when Minnie comes in. This part is only half the song, but there's so much packed in. First of all, let me just get the vocals out of the way, because this goes for the whole song. Look, I know I've said this for the past couple songs, but Not Mogera has a flawless chromatic yet again. They took normal Mogera's voice, and made it deeper and crunchier, and oh, it's so satisfying on the ears. The range is also fantastic. His high notes are gorgeous, his lows are nice and crunchy, and there's literally no way to make it sound bad. The added reverb effect on it is just, I have no words. I love this chromatic to pieces. Mark II has the same chromatic, so there's nothing really to get into here. So let's move on to Godzilla, who also has one of his best appearances in the mod. He's a bit toned down, which helps him not sound messy. and holy, his high notes send chills down my spine. These two chromatics have very nice chemistry, despite them both sounding kinda similar. The instrumental during this whole first part is nice at keeping the pace up. It's nothing too special, but it doesn't need to do anything crazy. In fact, this entire first section is kinda just going through the motions, acting as a wind-up for the many iconic moments to come. And the first one up is something I never expected from a Monster of Monsters song. A lyric section. I freaking adore this part. The lyrics are well written, with clever references to the original creepypasta, as well as the singing itself being gorgeous. My guy is a robot. You did not need to put this much emotion into it. This lyric section is short, but effective, showing that not Mogera isn't your enemy, but a friend. Someone trying to save you before it's too late. He doesn't want to kill you, but is forced to fight because of Red. The storytelling is masterful, and I can't think of a way it could be handled better. The end of Scrumbo's section is just transition to Zink's part, which is when Minnie is brought in as backup. This whole first part is chock full of catchy melodies, and has foreshadowing for a much greater moment ahead. Then the big build-up happens, and this whole time the song gets crazier and crazier until finally, Mogera. That voice line, chills, just chills. Mark II joins the fray as Lifer's part starts, and immediately you notice a shift. The instrumental changes to Lifer's famous piano as the song is sped up. This whole section, man, it has some of the best melodies, vocal work, and the instrumental is incredible despite being a miniature version of a better one coming up next. Everything in the song is built up to this showdown, and the big payoff comes in form of the double notes. What can I even say about this part? The vocal layering effect over both Mark II and Godzilla is one of the best any chromatic has ever sounded in an FNF song. This section is iconic for a reason. It never ceases to give me goosebumps every time I hear it. The wind down is just as good though. Mark II's chilling long notes and back and forth with Godzilla is just masterful. Until he's gone. All that's left is a glitched up Not Mogera, who's still giving it his all to try and get you to stop. That overview of the song still cannot accurately describe my love for Alomnesia. In fact, I don't think any words can. This song has literally everything you could ever want in an FNF song. It's 5 minutes long, but it doesn't even feel like it to me. That's how much is jam-packed in here. This song is never boring, and doesn't feel dragged out at all, which makes it so impressive that this was composed in 3 separate parts. It's songs like this which give me such great appreciation for what a community can make when they all come together. Alomnesia is a genuine masterpiece, and is good enough for my 3rd favorite FNF song ever. But of course, even that still isn't enough to get my number 1 spot on this list. Let's hop into that one. The race was extremely close, but in the end, Paramnesia just barely beat out Alomnesia as my favorite of the mod. I said Alomnesia was everything you could want in an FNF song. Paramnesia is everything you could want, and then some. It starts out with a lonely piano opening, and already right out of the gate, it's characterizing Nakazora. After everything he's experienced from Amoeba to Bad Omen to Remnant, He wakes up as a shell of his former self, and there's nothing he can do to go back. It's such a tragic tale for a seemingly insignificant character, and I heavily applaud the dev team for going above and beyond to make the not kaijus feel like actual characters and not just monsters. You know what? Since I'm already here, let me just talk about the instrumental in full. This is the single best instrumental in all of FNF. Lifer just has an incredible talent for his instrumentals, and especially the piano because it's so gorgeous. The reverb giving it such an empty and lonely feel like I said before. This piano is present throughout the whole instrumental, but it absolutely pops off during the second half. I would go as far as to say that the piano in Paramnesia is the single best thing in an FNF song ever. I mean, the piano is incredible, but still, the rest of the instrumental is perfect. You can just feel the emotion oozing from every second of it, and it makes for one of the only instrumentals that I will actually go out of my way to listen to on its own. It's that good. Seriously, go listen to it if you haven't. I highly recommend it. Wow, I just spent that long gushing about the instrumental and we're barely into the song itself. Both Godzilla and Not Gazora start their singing, and can you guess what I'm about to say? Godzilla's phenomenal yet again. Probably his best performance of the entire mod. He can certainly hit fast notes in other songs, but his slower and longer notes here just hit different. Then there's Not Gazora's chromatic, who's even better. It fits the character like a glove, being so slimy. It's hard to describe, but once you get it, it makes sense. It's such a great chromatic because not only does it sound amazing, but you can just feel the pain in his voice. This first section doesn't have anything special going on, but I still really like the melodies here, and the instrumental is insanely good. Then there's the part with Gazora's old self flashing in the background. This is such a melancholic moment, again showing that he just longs to be himself but can't. The use of Gazora's theme from the original game here is a reminder for what he's lost. This is musical storytelling at its absolute peak. There's also the first time the core motif comes back, which makes sense because it was in all the other Gazora songs except for Remnant. This part was spent looking into the past, but now, Not Gazora turns to the future. All the opponents headed your way being shown as Not Gazora continues his somber song. The drums highlighted here as the drawings show up. Not only is this a massive story moment, but it's also one of the better parts of the song. But not the best, because that's coming later. Godzilla gives a roar as Not Gazora starts losing his mind. He's done grappling with the fact that he can't go back, and he wants his suffering to end. But as he struggles, the man sings his absolute heart out. The pain and agony of his existence present in every single note that comes out of him. Not Gazora's high notes just hit you like a truck in this part. This is also the part where the instrumental is at its absolute best. Lifer lets the piano go absolutely nuts, and it makes this entire section feel so alive. These melodies too are some of the best in all of FNF, with every single one being super catchy and memorable. One more instance of the core motif before it all comes crashing down. Not Gazora succumbs to the glitch, and the song winds down. The entire song, every waking second of Not Gazora's suffering, all culminates in one final note. This is the best last note in all of FNF. The length of this whole note being a release of all the emotion built up, and the combination of Not Gazora, Godzilla, and the instrumental all coming together to hit this one note is just so powerful. This one single note is better than entire songs, by the way. The raw emotion in it brings a tear to my eye as Not Gazora's painful existence ends, and he melts away. What an absolute masterpiece of a song. Alomnesia may have more epic moments, but the emotional core of Paramnesia is what wins me over. Trust me, I love songs like Bolitas Mons and Hope Eater for their catchy melodies, songs like Redkiller, Can't Change What You Are, and Dissociative for their intensity, but at the end of the day, songs are meant to make you feel things, and Paramnesia does precisely that, better than every single FNF song besides one. Truly one for the ages, and places as my second favorite in all of FNF. Well, we finally made it to the end of the list. What a journey, am I right? I absolutely love this mod to pieces, and I'm so excited for future updates. Before I end off, I just want to give a huge thanks to all my friends who submitted reviews. Yeah, it was kinda awkward to not include your voices, but the soul was still there. Again, thank you all so much, you guys are seriously the best. Also, if I planned everything out correctly, and you're watching this on the day of release, it's my birthday. That's pretty cool, I guess. Anyways, thank you all for watching, if you made it this far. I poured my heart and soul into this. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.